When I go on YouTube to find videos on retirement in Indonesia, I can barely find any except some cost of living videos, some general videos, or videos about guys who are living in Bali or who have retired in Bali. And when it comes to retirement in Indonesia, most of the folks only are focusing on Bali. So I asked myself, why is that? Is Indonesia not an attractive place to retire? Is it true? Is it really not popular? Therefore, there are no videos to find or blog posts. I mean, there is certain content, but compared to countries like the Philippines and Thailand, Indonesia seems far off the track somehow. And yeah, that's the topic of today's video. Is Indonesia an attractive place for retirement? Should you consider it? That's what I'm gonna talk here today. And not only for Westerners, I know for a fact that actually many Indonesians also consider Indonesia for their retirement. What am I talking about? You might have guessed it by watching my videos and reading through various comments. There are tons of people, tons of Indonesians, I don't know, tons, but yes, they are living in foreign countries, especially in Western countries. There are plenty of Indonesians working around Southeast Asia and the Middle East, but there are also plenty of people who live in Europe, in America, in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, even in New Zealand. People who have married Western men who now living in these countries and have children, and they are settled down there. But I know, and it's mostly women who live there, but they are planning to actually retire in Indonesia, and we know about their reasons. Of course, they have different motivations. They want to go back to where they were born and stuff like that. So it's interesting also for Indonesians. But this video is more about like foreigners, people like me. Although I'm not in the retirement age in terms of age, I have not reached that age where I consider myself a retiree, although we can discuss the possibility of retiring from a job, of a 9-to-5 job and stopping this kind of income and achieving different forms of income, In a sense, then you are also retired, but then you are retired from a 9-to-5 job only, right? So, yeah, Indonesia compared to Thailand and the Philippines, it's a different. Indonesia is still a different ball game. We all know Thailand and the Philippines is way more popular, especially Thailand. Thailand has a long history of Westerners retiring there. I think that has to do with the popularity of the country. Thailand has been a famous tourist destination for decades already, and it's located more to the western. It's more in the western part of Southeast Asia, although the island of Sumatra also is located west in the western part of Indonesia. But Indonesia is a way bigger country, and I don't know what kind of associations people have with Indonesia. I will get to this in a minute. But Thailand is popular, has been. It's a favorite tourist destination. It's actually Bangkok is or Phuket is the closest destination to Europe. When you want to fly into Southeast Asia, the first hub is Phuket or Bangkok. So the logistics are very good, and Thailand is popular. So therefore, tens of thousands of retirement visas are issued every year in Thailand. I don't know the exact number. And so it is with the Philippines. The Philippines is also a very famous place especially for American guys. That has to do with the history. Yeah. The Philippines used to be an American colony. Also, US soldiers were based in the Philippines. And therefore the Philippines, they are leaning towards the United States anyway. You have a lot of immigrants from the Philippines living now in the United States. And also the Philippines is a Christian country, Christian Catholic, you know. Unlike Thailand, Thailand is a Buddhist country and Indonesia is predominantly Muslim. And in the Philippines, for example, what makes the Philippines still so attractive for many Westerners is also the visa situation, you know, because in the Philippines, without going into all these visa details, I'm not a specialist on Philippines visa issues. There are other videos out there, you want to check them out. And again, I'm not considering to retire tomorrow. Yeah, I am pondering the thought, I'm thinking about it. I want to do this video today also for those of you who are now looking for a place of retirement, because I received comments and feedback, and I do consultations also about that. People are approaching me now, people who are searching for locations and destinations. And the visa situation in the Philippines is way easier. You can actually, what I know, extend your tourist visa up to 36 months. So there are different tactics and strategies and ways how you can actually live inside the Philippines only on a tourist visa by just extending it, you know. And that's not possible in Indonesia. If you want to, so we come to Indonesia in a second. Let's stay with inside the Philippines. So the visa thing is way more attractive in the Philippines, the visa issues, you know. Also, the dating, of course, plays a big role. I think this is actually, in my opinion, if not the main reasons, then it is one of the major reasons why many, especially American guys, want to retire in the Philippines, because besides lower cost of living and warm weather. It's the dating, because many American guys, you know, they are divorced, you know, and want to start a new life. And the age gap dating in the Philippines is very popular. You can, as an older guy, when you're 50 or 60 or even 70 years old, still can find a way younger woman, a woman who is 20 or 30 years old. So we are talking about large age gap dating inside the Philippines. The Philippines is, besides of Thailand, and probably Cambodia, these are the three countries where you can practice large age gap dating. But the Philippines is very, very popular for that. And when you consider all the other things I just mentioned, so yeah, the Philippines is a very attractive place for retirement for Western people and even for me today. Yeah. Similar to the Philippines and to Thailand, Indonesia, of course, enjoys a nice climate. It's a beautiful country. It has nice nature. It has great beaches, 17,000 islands, volcanoes, rice paddies, mountains, lakes. You can find anything in Indonesia if you are a diver, if you are a hiker, if you are just want to bicycle, if you want to bike, if you want to swim. You can do all of this in Indonesia if you are a nature guy. Similar to the Philippines and Thailand. So Indonesia has that, you know. Also, the people, I've talked about this in many other videos, the people are very nice, very friendly, very welcoming. It's a very relaxed atmosphere inside of Indonesia. Yeah, very welcoming people. Because, yeah, Indonesians are actually very open-minded, okay? Just because it is it's a Muslim, Islam-dominated country in terms of religion, doesn't mean that Indonesia is closed up, and it does not mean that the people don't want to have to do anything with foreigners. No. Once you have traveled to Indonesia, you will see that people are very modern, you know, and open-minded, and because it also has to do with the fact that Indonesia is a rapidly developing country. It's the second largest country in Asia after China. So there are great prospects economically for this country. What makes Indonesia not so much attractive is the dating thing, you know. You have age gap dating inside Indonesia. Of course, the average gap, I would say, is between 10 and 15 years. So the age gap is not as high as in the Philippines or in Thailand, but most of the foreigners, Westerners who marry Indonesian women, their age gap is, let's say between 5 and 15 years, sometimes 20 years, but it's somewhere between 5 and 15 years. This is normal. So this is something to consider, but also one thing which is probably a big turn-off also for many is the English speaking level inside Indonesia. And I must admit that that's an issue, that's a problem. To really find English-speaking women, you have to go to the big cities. Like, what big cities are there? There are many big cities inside Indonesia, but the only really big city where people speak decent English would be Jakarta, the capital city. But Jakarta is not really a place for retirement, you know, because it's just a big city. I don't know, 15, 20 million people are living there, and it's just a big mess. The city is a mess, a lot of traffic, a lot of noise, a lot of pollution. It's good for working, it's good for making business, making money and stuff like that. But I do not recommend Jakarta for retirement, you know, so, and for dating, yes, but not for retirement. And that's it. Or you have Bali, where you have a lot of tourists, you know. Bali is, in my opinion, completely overrated, you know, in terms of tourists and even retirement, you know, because in my opinion, there are too many tourists and too many, probably, or I don't know about retirees, but for me, I do not consider Bali. There are just too many foreigners for my taste. Indonesia is big enough, there are many places and provinces, but the thing is, you know, if you just want to retire, I think then it's okay, you can pick any place. But if you want to date, then you are actually limited, and that's true. And when you compare this to the Philippines, you know, it's a completely different ballgame. So as I said, I don't know about the retirement visa details in Thailand and the Philippines and in Indonesia, but I know in Indonesia you can apply for a retirement visa when you are of the age of 55 years old, you know. Before that, the only way to stay longer in Indonesia is when you have a work permit, if you actually have a job, if you are employed inside of Indonesia, or as a tourist. But you know, the tourist visa is a hassle these days, to be honest. You have to pay for your visa on arrival. You know, if you have to pay, I mean, that honestly really sucks, you know. They changed it again. A few years ago it was different. So now you have to pay around $30 for a 30-day visa on arrival. And if you want to extend this visa, you have to pay another $30. So that will be another 30-day extension. But you can only extend your visa one time. So that means you can only stay maximum 60 days inside Indonesia on your tourist visa. You know, compare this to the Philippines, you know, or compare this to Thailand. I think in Thailand you can extend also one time, but then you have to exit. But there are other visas also available for Thailand, you know, longer term visas and other tourist visas. So the visa situation in Thailand and especially the Philippines is way more convenient and way more attractive for way lower cost than compared to Indonesia. So that's also one thing, you know. If you really want to stay long term and retire, you have to wait until you're 55 years old, right? So that's a handicap here, you know. But in terms of infrastructure and logistics, I would say if I compare all three countries, Thailand, Philippines and Indonesia, Indonesia is not that bad. Indonesia, yeah, it's a big country, it's still developing, it's also in many parts still poor. You will see a lot of poverty and you find many rural places, but actually the infrastructure is good. You have roads, you have functioning Wi-Fi, you have good apartments, you know, especially in the big cities. You have shopping malls, you have everything. I honestly find the infrastructure in the Philippines the worst of not all of the Southeast Asian countries, but it's one of the worst. You know, in Indonesia, for example, you have a train system, especially on the island of Java. You know, you don't have that in the Philippines. There are no trains in the Philippines. As far as I know, maybe there are some trains, but then I never heard of them. But in Indonesia, you have a functioning train system, you know. So this is important for infrastructure and logistics, you know. And you also have trains in Thailand. So I find the logistics in Indonesia way better than in the Philippines. So if you consider to retire in Indonesia, you really have to ask yourself, what are your goals? And what are your preferences? You know, if you do not want to date, then I think Indonesia is still a valid option. You know, if you are a nature lover, then you can go to Indonesia. If you want to date, if you want to find a long-term partner, I made a lot of videos. It's easy to date, but there are some handicaps and some obstacles. You know, if you need somebody who speaks fluently English. Or if you want to have a lot of variety in dating, you know, then the Philippines, of course, is way easier because many of the girls, even at young age, speak English. So you have a great variety in the Philippines. It's a little bit more difficult and different in Indonesia because technically you have a lot of variety of girls, but it will be more difficult to date Muslim women, or, you know, so there are different circumstances inside Indonesia, which I also have covered in other videos. So again, you have to ask yourself, what are your goals for retirement? What are your preferences? And then you have to take all these things into consideration. I was just quickly covering here in this video. There is way more to say. I just wanted to give you a quick overview and my impression and my opinion. Bottom line and long story short, Indonesia is a great alternative for retirement. You know, it's I think, in my opinion, underrated. It has a great potential, and I hear some people even complain about the Philippines. Now there are too many foreigners inside this country, so Indonesia is a great option, a great alternative. So do your research and then check your preferences. What do you want? What are your goals? And then come to your own conclusions. And with that being said, I'm checking out for today. Thanks for watching. Let me know. And if some of you guys have more information, especially on retiring in Indonesia, then let me and let us know. It's certainly interesting. I know there are Westerners retired in Indonesia, not only retired, but also living there, doing business, working there. But you don't hear much of them, you know. There are not many videos out there, but when you are inside of Indonesia, you see and meet these expats. They are living there, but rather quietly. You know, they do their own thing. Maybe they are just happy the way they are, and they don't want to grandstand and showboat or do videos about their life. But there are plenty of Westerners married, living inside of Indonesia, doing business. That's definitely the case. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you in one of my next videos. Take care. Bye bye.